Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Here are your hosts, Jmann and Danny, the Midwest motherfuckers. Well, this is episode 1 of the What Do We Want to Call It podcast because we had a name, and then everyone's like, you can't have swear words in your name, so we had to get rid of it. So now it's become the What Do We Want to Call It podcast. I am the Jmann, 1982, here with Danny. Danny was gracious enough to buy all the shit we're using to make the fucking show right now because I have child support payments and can't afford things like that. To me, a $5 rotisserie chicken is extravagant.
We won't discuss how I funded it, but I funded it.
Well, I don't really fucking care as long as you didn't steal off a goddamn dead body. All right, so we may or may not be recording on stuff that was purchased with drug money in a shitty room in the corner of my basement. And we didn't write any notes to this. We're just going to fucking freeform the whole thing.
No framework whatsoever.
He's going to hope that I pull everything completely out of my ass and he can piggyback off it because Danny's got a man crush on all the shit I put on Facebook that I just...
Somebody's got to support you. So everybody else is just like, what?
Everybody else reads it and doesn't comment, or lately doesn't read it, which is really upsetting considering I just typed a fucking 8-paragraph thing the other day about Islamophobia in America and the misunderstanding of the Muslim culture by the average Joe.
But you wrote it.
Oh, that's not the thing. I started writing it. I got 3.5 paragraphs in, and my fucking 2-year-old hit like the F6 button, and it disappeared. I'm like, God damn it!
What were you writing it on? That you had an F6 button?
I was at my parents' house using their computer, which is my computer.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't have the internet. We should probably note that I am kind of a technophobe.
Caveman.
I have a flip phone. I don't have a phone in my house. I don't have a computer in my house. I don't have the internet at my house. And if you come to my house and you have a smartphone and Wi-Fi capability, you're probably not going to get shit for service. You can kiss your 4G goodbye. It's completely out the window.
And don't ask him for a charger either, because he ain't got one.
And I don't have a fucking charger for your goddamn
USB
Apple iPhone, whatever. So, what I was alluding to with my Facebook post, all this shit that's been going on the last few weeks when Donald Trump poured gas on the fire of American Islamophobia by saying that if he's elected president, he's going to somehow find a way to block all Muslims from coming to America. Which is like going to a bukkake party and saying, I'm going to find a way to keep all the jizz off my face.
Well, you know, when some of that jizz contains HIV, you're going to want to keep it off your face.
By HIV, you mean Islamic extremism? Then yes, I can take that and weave it back into the conversation.
That is what I'm talking about.
So his idea is he's going to find a way to temporarily stop all Muslims from immigrating to this country until they can come up with a better process to screen them and decide if they're okay to come here. Which I don't feel is going to work. And the second he said that shit, he had to be like, he wished he could grab the fucking words out of thin air and shove them back in his mouth. But
that's only because people always want to take things out of context, and he just instantly doesn't want Muslims here.
Well, I read more into it so that I found out that his plan was that, okay, he wants to come up with a better screening system to vet these people out to make sure they're not terrorists. That's cool. You should have said, I want to come up with a way to make the process of naturalizing here take a lot longer. Joe Blow, Syrian asshole, can't just come over in a fucking boat from Nova Scotia on a Wednesday and walk across the beach in Maine somewhere and, I'm American now.
But that's how, people aren't understanding is that's how Donald Trump works. Who's got the most media time right now out of all the candidates?
Because he's a loudmouth asshole and the media's like, oh my God, what kind of circus shit is he going to say next? I'm fucking excited.
Right, so he's getting free publicity by saying what sounds like outrageous shit, but as soon as you take a minute to dig into it, you see it's not completely outrageous shit. Well, he's saying outrageous shit, so he gets all the coverage, and then if you have enough brains to go in and look at what he's talking about. I'm not saying that everything he's saying or doing is going to be right, but there's more to it than the simple-minded, he's just out there being racist.
Well, he needs to hire a new fucking PR person.
Why? He's getting tons.
It's not the amount of time it's getting, it's what's being derived from what he's saying, where it's completely misconstrued.
Look who's deriving it, though.
The population's like, oh, fuck him, he's crazy, I'm not going to vote for him. Because honestly, I don't know which one of these stupid cunts I'm going to vote for, because Hillary sounds like she knows what she's doing, but I don't think she can handle it. And then you got Bernie Sanders, he's fucking crazy. And then you got Carson, who's like the opposite end of the spectrum crazy. He's like, I'm a neurosurgeon. Well,
he's a neurosurgeon.
Not so fast. You kind of were like the playing Operation game of neurosurgeons, and then you keep saying crazy shit like Joseph and Israelites kept grain in pyramids like they were fucking silos. And then you got Trump who's like, I will say whatever the fuck I want because I have the most money and everybody's enamored with my craziness. And that's how America works. And I am just going to mind fuck my way into the White House. And when I get there, I suppose I'll take a second to step back and re-examine and refocus and see if I can actually do anything. Or if I just get into a chopper and fly away to like Cuba and hide out for the next 8 years.
But let's peel all the bullshit away for a second. And dealing with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is possibly what we need. What's wrong with our country right now? We're broke as fuck. We ain't got no money.
Oh, no. What's wrong with our country is not just that we're broke as fuck. It's that there's so much racial tumult and everybody wants to arm up and everybody's stuck on this fucking PC culture bullshit where everything you say is offensive. So
and who can we thank for a lot of that?
Offensive? I don't know.
Oh, the current administration, the current president, who gets on TV and says, that could have been my son because he's black. And then somebody white gets shot and he don't say anything about it. He, whether anybody wants to admit it or not, is feeding fuel to the fire as far as racial stuff goes, as far as class warfare goes. Anything that happens that he can play to his side, he plays it.
Well, looking back on the last, 7 years of his presidency now? It's been like, I voted for him the first time, like, okay, I can't vote for whichever white rich Republican was running against him at the time. But the second time was Romney. Who was the first one?
McCain.
Okay, so John McCain was like the war hero who fucking knows what would have happened. But, and then it was like the bailouts for the auto industry, the bailouts for Wall Street. And then there's a big block of time where I stopped giving a fuck because I was just busy, making babies I didn't plan. And then now it's like, oh, we need to stop all these guns, and we need to look at all the gun laws, and we need to reform them, and because this is happening way too often, and somehow we're numb to it, and we need to just stop and think and come up with a better system for treating the mentally ill.
Oh, he does?
Because someone takes a gun and murders the shit out of a bunch of innocent people.
I didn't know I'm pretty sure he didn't say anything about the mentally ill, though. He just tried to blame it on the right-wing zealots. That's what they all were trying to do. None of them have actually stopped and looked, okay, what's wrong with these people? What's the common denominator in all of these shootings? Mental health. They're all fucked in the head. It doesn't...
Well, there's a problem. The mental health isn't the issue. Here's where the mental health became the issue. I'm 33. You are...
31.
Okay, so we're roughly the same age. And when I was a kid in school, in elementary school, you could get into a fight. You get into a fist fight with somebody over something. You'd go to the office, and they'd probably make you miss recess for what? A couple days? Maybe a week?
At the most.
It depends on how many offenses you have. And what do they do now?
Oh, now you're out of school.
Now you're out of school, possibly expelled.
Unless you're Muslim.
They charge you with a fucking crime.
Unless you're a little
Don't
Muslim.
Get off track on the Muslim thing. And then, they charge you with an assault and a criminal trespass, and they send you home. So, when I had a problem with somebody as a kid, before I could rationally deal with it because my mind was underdeveloped, I wanted to throw fists. Because that was easy. That's how I solved my fucking problems. I was a kid. That was the extent of my level of propriety.
Problem solving.
So nobody does that now. So these kids don't have the opportunity to learn that I can take a punch and I can throw a punch and I can learn that it hurts to get hit and that it's bad to hit people. I just get told this shit and I don't ever learn anything from it. I'm just told it. But you got to learn these lessons firsthand. So we've got these pussy-ass kids with their pussy-ass parents, who most of them are unfortunately our fucking age. And I don't know how the hell this happened, because they all grew up at the same time we did, the 80s and 90s. And these fucking anti-vaxxers and these helicopter parents and these goddamn participant trophy assholes that are raising this generation of fucking glass-jawed pussies that have no idea how to fucking argue their way out of anything. And let the kids fight. Let the kids fight. It's not going to devolve society into chaos. What it does is it teaches you about human nature. And once you get all that negativity out, and adults know this too, because guys do this all the time. Two guys at a bar get into a fight. They're drunk as shit. They beat the snot out of each other. It lasts, 30 seconds? Afterwards, they maybe either talk some more shit and somebody gets thrown out or they both leave, or they sit there, and eventually They hash it out. They go back over what happened. They both say how stupid they fucking were and how sorry they are. And then they share another round. These kids don't get to do that shit. It's just, well, you can't do that, so you guys need to talk it out. Well, talking's not always the fucking answer. There's a limited amount of space the human brain has to process diplomacy before you frustrate it, and that's what's causing mental illness, is people don't have outlets. Everyone's scared of anger. You can't raise your voice, or it becomes you get domestic assault for screaming at your wife, and maybe you caught her sucking your best friend's dick, but if you scream too loud and she calls the cops, Johnny Law is going to come in and fuck your butt 3 ways from Sunday and totally albatross your life, all because you raised your voice. And why? Pussification of America. It's a horrible fucking thing that's going on. And I fear for whatever country my children are going to have left to inherit. Because, I mean, I let them, they like to play rough. I tell them not to hit. They hit. I'm not going to tell them it's the worst thing in the world. Sometimes you got to beat somebody's ass. Sometimes somebody does something so egregious, you have to beat their ass. Somebody rips you off, beat their ass. You could call the cops. But I work in the criminal justice system. All right, I'm a correctional officer. I can tell you the people that do the most time are the people that get busted for drug crimes and DWIs. Not the fucking thieves, not the spouse abusers, not the chomos. None of those motherfuckers do as much time as somebody gets caught with a bunch of drugs.
Why do you think that is?
Well, because the fucking system's broken. Nobody wants to reevaluate the way that we do this. So now we've got even more people that don't know how to fucking handle life. All these pussy kids, and they're going to grow up and they're going to do what every teenage kid does. They're going to experiment with drugs and sex and alcohol the same way. They're not going to know how to fucking handle it. And the system's going to get more strict. Unfortunately, nobody's thought to just decriminalize marijuana and take that completely out of the way so that we don't have to worry about all those people clogging up the jails and locking up the real criminals. But it starts at childhood now with these frustrated kids. And their parents are having to set this example. So what you've got are people that grew up knowing that sometimes you got to fight, and then you get over that anger. I have multiple friends that I have engaged in physical fights with because we didn't like each other at first. And once you get over that misunderstanding, you get past all the differences. Then you double back and you go over, okay, there's some similarities here. It was fucking stupid, blah, blah, blah. You get over it.
It's human nature. It's human nature to, that's how you find boundaries. That's how you find out things. I mean, you can push things so far with certain people, and then other people not so far. And they're not being able to learn that. They go from everything's cool to everything's not cool with a flip of a switch.
But the physical violence aspects, it's always fucking broads that are like, fighting's never the answer. Violence is never the answer. Well, sometimes you throw a few punches, maybe just push each other a few times. The average fight lasts 30 seconds or less. People gas out. They don't know what they're doing. It's not fucking MMA. It's not the UFC. People don't go in with a game plan. Fights just break out. People decide how it's going to go down, and then it never goes to plan. But anyway, so you can't get that stress out by yelling. You can't be too angry, or people will say that you're out of control. Because if somebody doesn't know you and they hear you raise your voice, they automatically are now programmed to be so sensitive. They're like, taken aback, like he said some curse words and he was loud and I was scared for my safety. Fuck you.
Yeah,
right? And that's why you get people that now they can't fight. There's no outlet for the anger. You tell them, well, you must be mentally ill. Maybe you need anger management therapy. No. What he needs to do is just grab a goddamn pillow and scream until he's hoarse. Or maybe go punch some deserving piece of shit in the face.
Like you said, yeah, they need outlets. Outlets to the angst is what a lot of it is, like you just said. You skip the physical violence component, and then what do you get next? Where do you go? Instead of using your hands and feet, where do you go from there? Words.
Guns.
Guns.
Guns. A lot of people don't know how to fucking handle it. So what? All this pent-up emotion, it will drive you nuts.
Well, you go to guns when you're older.
Well, yeah, as kids. Well, even the kids are fucking doing it, though. I suppose. Because the guns, and people get upset when you talk about restricting the amount of guns we have. But now you get people that are ill-equipped to handle the way society is, which is hypersensitive, with a false sense of civility. We think we are so fucking intelligent and advanced and refined, and we're not. We're fucking not. To this day, we're still objectifying women the same way. And we're still pounding chemicals into our body because we got to be faster and stronger or have our food faster and be more convenient. And so if you have a bad day and you have no one to talk to about it, and you can't go home and smash bottles behind the garage, and you don't have an outlet for your anger, what does it do? It builds up. like a fucking powder keg, right? People have explosive tempers. And when they're already genetically predispositioned to anxiety disorders, depression, antisocial personality disorders, borderline personality disorders, and then you compound that with all the frustration of the everyday grind, eventually it seethes to the top, and what happens? They act out. Maybe they go, China has a problem with fucking knife violence. We have the world's highest occurrences of gun violence. We have so many people coming here from third world shitholes from Central and Southern America, all their gangbangers and shit from Ecuador. And like, what do? They come here and they commit violent crimes here. And it makes us look like a crazier country than we are. And people are fucking scared, so they arm up. So now you've got, I'm angry and I need an outlet, but I've got this gun. And I'm waiting for the opportunity to use it because I'm scared. And we just live in this massive melting pot of constant rage and fear. And there's no off button unless you go see a shrink or you take some fucking medication. Or how many people medicate with alcohol and drugs? Like hard street drugs. Or maybe weed, which is a fucking plant, which is a totally different conversation. How many people have drinking problems? In our state alone, in Minnesota, especially in Anoka County, there is a pandemic of DUIs. It's all the time. Everything is extra DWI patrols will be on the road this holiday weekend. Everybody's getting drunk because they can't fucking handle life because you don't give them an outlet. Maybe what you need to do is have a support group for like 40 or 50 adults to just all go there and, I don't know, play a game of Red Rover and just scream at each other. And then maybe they go out in the parking lot and then they form friendships and they go home and then now you have a support system and you talk about your shitty problems instead of internalizing it and getting just more black and dead inside and being just numb to all the shit that's going on. I mean, you have to find an outlet. And that's what the country's become. And now you want to throw in all this extra fear from all ISIS and this Islamic extremism that it's new. Terrorism isn't new. Terrorism's been going on for, decades. It's not been happening here as much, and it's not been always based upon the Western world with all these Eastern and Middle Eastern countries coming after us. I mean, there's been people blowing up planes isn't anything new. But people flying planes into buildings was new, and it happening here was new, so everyone's scared. And that was 14 fucking years ago that happened.
Isn't that crazy?
And I'm not saying get over it, but you almost have to let go of all that fear you felt from having your comfort blanket pulled out from under you. The world changed that day. Bands that had albums come out that week or within 2 weeks of there had their albums shelved because people didn't want to listen to heavy metal music. Bands like Machine Head were victims of the post 9/11 hysteria. And now we've got ISIS. And the world has not seen anything like this entity before, who believes so firmly in what they do and just mass kill civilians.
You sure? Pretty sure there was Hitler. A lot of people make that
Hitler's
comparison.
rise to power was way slower and meticulous, and these motherfuckers don't even know what they're doing. They have multiple radical interpretations of the Quran, and they're focusing on a few verses that most Muslims wouldn't even fathom acknowledging. Jihad is not the common way for Islam. All right, I know Muslims. I spent time with Muslims. I've been to a mosque on a Friday prayer service, dressed up in a suit like I was going to a funeral because I expected a funeral.
Okay, but
a funeral it was not. But I partook in everything, and everybody there was welcoming. Everybody shook my hand and was nice.
That was a mosque here, though. That was a mosque in the United States. Do you think the mosques in Iraq, Syria, you think they preach peacefulness? I'm
not
pretty
there,
sure.
But it's what Donald Trump is doing, to bring it back to the Trump thing, is he wants to keep them up from coming here. But for every one or two people that come here that are radicalized, that fly under the radar, for every 5 or 6 people that get on the internet and become radicalized by communicating with people back home, like the Boston bombers, the Sarnav brothers, or all those fucking Somali dudes from here in Minneapolis that got recruited and went back home. You know.
See, this is where I don't think he's completely wrong. Like, we need to shut it down for a minute. Like,
not all.
Would you rather
Islam?
Okay, but look at it this way. So obviously we already have ISIS here. They're here. It's a known fact. Okay, I'll give you that. But using that as justification as to let more in, that's stupid. That don't make any fucking sense. Would you rather, okay, say you're walking around North Minneapolis and you see...
Well, first off, I'd never go to North Minneapolis because I fucking hate that city, and I probably hate all the people in that part of town anyway because we don't get along.
But anyway, so you're walking down the street and you see a couple gangbangers. Okay, so would you...
Well, those are black guys. Most of these people are Middle Eastern or Somali.
But the point that people are trying to say is like, they're already here, so what's the difference? Well, okay, would you rather fight 2 gangbangers, or would you rather give them a minute, let them invite the rest of the gang over, and take them all on at once? That's the logic that I'm hearing when people say, ISIS is already here. So what, that means let more come? Let them have more of their troops, whatever you want to call them? Let them just continue to grow easily?
They're going to go more to Europe before they come here because it's easier to make their way through a series of countries. Apparently, they've got a fucking passport maker, and they're making fake passports to get to countries like France and Spain and England. But getting here is a big fucking deal for them. That's why they're not coming here in droves as much as they're using social media and the internet to radicalize people here that are already frustrated at the misunderstanding of their religions. They're like, oh, you feel rejected, and you feel like nobody listens, and you want something to believe in and somebody to know what you're feeling. Well, we can help you out with that. And think of who's your oppressor. It's the American culture. You came there to live the American dream, and they won't let you have it because they don't understand your culture. Well, we understand your culture, and maybe you need to fight back against it. They're inspiring people here, and it's more lone wolf attacks than like an entire fucking school bus of Syrian assholes show up and like, oh, where's the nearest place to get an AK-47?
But that's going to happen if they just start letting them in. If they're going to we're supposed to take, what, like 200 some refugees? And out of all of those refugees, I'm sure it'll be a small percent that are radical, whatever. But why invite any of them over at the moment? We need to just take care of ourselves for a second.
Everybody's focusing on the fucking Middle East, and honestly, it's like there's enough assholes here from any country.
Right. So why invite more?
I'm not even as concerned about that as I am with the violence of the Mexican drug cartel spilling over onto American soil in Texas.
Which is another reason. So you got that down there that we got an issue with.
I feel we need to worry about that more than ISIS right now. Like, the police can handle, and the FBI and the CIA can handle dealing with that. I feel like our military needs to be deployed to Mexico.
Well, right, but see,
to take out the narcos.
That's what I'm saying. Is we have all of this shit here already that we need to deal with. Why introduce a flood of fucking new people that are going to add to the problem at the moment? Why don't we just take care of what's going on now, here first, and then address it?
So far, it hasn't backfired for Canada. They've been welcoming people. They're the first country over here that's just like, come on over. Clearly, none of these Syrians are going to go to Mexico because Mexico doesn't have shit. And then if they find out about the drug wars, they're going to be like, well, fuck that. I just left one war-torn battle area. Why the fuck do I want to go to Mexico? You know, I was already getting shot at by brown people over there. Now I'm going to come halfway across the world and get shot at by brown people over here. That's fucking stupid. But what I have noticed lately is I've paid less attention to the fanaticism of, well, the terrorists are all going to come, and seeing, like today they talked about one family in Canada who it was a mother and a daughter, and they raised $180,000 to bring over 24 relatives from Syria who have been holed up in their homes the majority of the last 2 years because of all the shit going down there. They can't work, they can't go to school, they're going to come over here. Yeah, they're going to be a drain on resources, but so is every goddamn baby that some American asshole poops out.
Well, and it's not just the Syrians that are the problem. It's not the regular actual refugees who are really fleeing because it's a shithole and they don't have ulterior motives. Them people are fine. We want to take those people, but we don't have ways to check and make sure they're that people. Yeah, but we don't have background checks. Have you seen the desert lately? They don't have Wi-Fi. They don't have... What do you call the background checks that you got to do at work all the time?
They're called background checks.
Well, no, I'm talking like when you get a job. You don't have that E-Verify. You don't have E-Verify over in the Middle East. We don't know who these people are. So, the San Bernardino, great example. Them two were refugees that came over last year. There's no way to check what these people's background are. They're just...
It was the same thing, but think after 9/11. We were more sensitive after 9/11 than we are now. It's just that we're seeing more media coverage of it. But after 9/11, we didn't... Bush wasn't like... We need to keep out all of the Pakistani peoples and the Afghani peoples and all of them. We didn't put this massive embargo on immigration from that part of the world.
No, but it was a new war still. You didn't have Al Qaeda saying, we're coming. We're going to put our flag in the White House.
In a span of 2 weeks. You know, it took months, probably years, to get those people here, to get them naturalized and vested in a community so they flew under the radar, hiding in plain sight, and then trained to fly planes. So I don't feel like there's going to be this deluge of terrorist activity. But maybe...
You said for yourself, look at the advances ISIS has made in such a short period of time.
That's by sheer numbers, though.
Okay, so you got numbers. So why bring all these people over here when you're talking a number game?
That are joining up in the ISIS ranks, though, and then are immediately quitting because they realize all the shit they have to... They're offering people money and safety and food and shelter. And a lot of people that are from Syria that don't have any of that shit right now are joining up out of necessity, not out of want. It's not like, I want to be a radical Islamic extremist. What I want is to not fucking die.
I don't know, dude. I've seen quite a bit of videotapes where they're even asking little kids, what do you want to do? Kill Americans.
Well, they've been doing that since they had videos of after 9/11 where they went over there and people were fucking singing the praises of Osama bin Laden, so that's not new. But maybe, and think of, and it sounds kind of crazy. Say we do bring them all over here. All right, and let's say worst case scenario, there's a bunch of new terror cells that spring up. What does that do to our country? Does it tear us apart? Or does it somehow take us out of all this black versus white bullshit we're stuck in, and this two-party Democrat versus Republican shit we're stuck in, and suddenly we're uniting, and we're putting these guns that we fucking have squirreled away to good use by taking... Fucking come here! We have more guns than any country in the world.
At the moment.
If you shoot innocent people, eventually militias are going to rise. You can't keep treading on America and expect people to not fucking lash out.
But you can only put a militia together if you have guns. What's the president trying to do right now?
Well, there's enough guns out there that people can get guns. I mean, it's just a matter of taking the guns and putting them to a constructive use rather than letting some half-tard whose mom is an NRA member give him an AR-15 and go walking into a goddamn elementary school to murder 26 fucking first graders. You know?
Right, but they're trying to take them every day. Every time a new shooting happens in the news, that's the first thing Barack Obama says, is we need tougher gun laws.
You have to take Obama out of the scenario, though. He's living on borrowed time.
Well,
his
unless he gets his way,
over.
He might want to try the third.
Well, there's no way he's going to ram and jam through new legislation that fast before.
I saw a thing today. I didn't really read it, so I don't really know what was in it. But he's trying to pass through. He's trying to pass through some. He's trying to bypass Congress with some new gun laws.
You almost have to bypass Congress because they are at the lowest approval rating of all time. Their lowest effectiveness of. They are too busy waving their dicks at each other from across the aisle to realize they represent Americans. They don't care about us. They care about keeping their job. They get free fucking lifetime health care. And they campaign their ass off about how they're going to fucking help you. And they get back into office. And then, they toe the line for 6 months. And then they just kiss the party's ass because they got to think for the next election cycle. And they got to start fundraising almost right out of the... As soon as they cross the finish line and cut through the ticker tape right there, it's time to start raising money again. But... yeah, like I was saying about all them coming here, the worst case scenario is that all hell breaks loose. It won't be all hell breaking loose. People could die, potentially. Violence could happen. But like I said about uniting the country, I mean, we're living a Middle East influenced version of Independence Day. Because we all united against the aliens. You're laughing because it's fucking funny because it makes sense. That is life imitating
it kind of does.
Imitating life.
It kind of does, but it also seems like in this day and age, there's a lot of fucking Americans that hate America. Like, it just seems trendy. Like, right after 9/11, you had everybody buying American flags. We were solid one unit at that time. The first few months or whatever, right after 9/11, we were a fucking country again.
Nothing had happened like that on our soil since Pearl Harbor, so yeah, it made sense.
But now we get attacked, call it an attack or whatever San Bernardino was, but now you have 50 different viewpoints. You have some people that are Americans saying, well, that's what's going to happen, fuck them, whatever. And then you have people on the other side that are saying, oh, they're just misunderstood. They must be crazy. Let's not call them terrorists yet.
I'm in the middle with that. And I've been saying this for a couple months now, that I'm American and I love America and I love the freedoms that I have, but I really am fucking sick and tired of Americans. Like, I think I understand why the rest of the world hates us so much, because we're so full of our own shit and we play the victim so much. And, like, the chaos of our society we created. By having all these guns here, we allowed people to get the guns to cause the gun violence. By not trying to answer all the questions there are regarding how do we fix racial tension in America, what do most people want to do? It's what PC culture does. If there's a tough issue, they want to say that talking about it's offensive to silence the conversation so that nobody takes the time to have a rational thought. And nobody can bicker about it. And that goes back to what I said with the kids. What do? You fight it out. You sit there and focus on your differences. But once you've run out of shit to say to each other, all that vitriol and negativity is out, you're like, well, fuck. All right, let's regroup and let's see how we're the same. I'm not black. I will never understand what it feels like to be discriminated against. As a white male in America who's grown up in this time, up until about a few years ago, being a white man in America was like the greatest fucking thing. That was the greatest demographic in the world. In the fucking world, is you could be white and a male in America, because white man ran the country, white men established the country, white men stole the fucking country. America's built on the precipice of the white male being in charge. And now everyone's like, no, fucking white privilege has to end, and we need more affirmative action, and you need to sit here and acknowledge all of our struggle in the hood. Well, another big argument I've been making, if I was to run for president, and I can, the next cycle, 2020 I can run, I'll be of age.
Do I get to be your campaign manager?
No.
Oh, come on.
No, I don't think you legally qualify.
To be a campaign manager?
You keep weed in your car. So how the fuck is that going to go on the campaign trail?
I would not be the first campaign manager to keep weed in his car.
So
Bill Clinton?
Let me tell you how I'd automatically fix a lot of shit in this country. And that you got to really crack it right by the mic.
Surge. Product placement. We got to think ahead.
Until they tell you, we don't like your views, stop advertising our product. Good thinking. Population control. There are too many goddamn people in this country. Imagine if there were 2/3 the amount of population.
And you want to let in more Syrians.
No. I'm saying the world's got an issue. Because the planet, they say, can reasonably sustain 2.5 to 3 billion people. We have 7.5 billion people. So, I mean, if we could just find a way to make India and China disappear, we'd solve overpopulation and the pollution problem in like one fell swoop. But then that sounds like I'm encouraging cultural genocide, which I'm not. It's just some of the easiest answers are the most brutal. Like, I cured AIDS 5 years ago when I came up with the idea of how to cure AIDS. Is you take everybody with AIDS and you put them into a rocket and you shoot them into the sun. And then, see? It's fucking ridiculous. You cure AIDS. But my platform is there's too many fucking people. Yeah. So you start off with that. And here's where the trickle down comes down. What's broken? The economy. Why? Too many people on the feed bag. Why are there so many people? Too many people are making babies. Why are they making babies? Because they're poor and they don't have jobs and they have too much time to sit around and fuck each other. And since we're such a socially detached culture as it is, everybody's swiping on Tinder and shit. Everybody just wants to hook up nowadays and get their sex and not have to deal with all the, the trappings of a relationship and establishing bonds. People stare at their fucking phone. People go on dates and they sit there on their phones across the table from each other and they're not even fucking talking. They're waiting for their food to come and they're both on different apps. One's on Facebook and she's on Tinder trying to find the next Johnny Dick she's going to jump on. And maybe if we weren't so busy just trying to fucking satisfy our carnal urges and we used our brains more, we'd fuck less. And maybe if the government would get off their ass and start offering free vasectomies for guys that want it. Well, there's a big part of the problem. How many fucking dudes are like, I just want to fuck, but I don't want any kids? Well, stop fucking ejaculating all over the place, you stupid dickhole.
Well, let's see.
You're making babies. And that's what's wrong, and it maybe sounds inflammatory to say this.
Sounds like eugenics.
I don't know what that is exactly, but what's the biggest problem with the angry portion of black America right now? They don't have jobs. They don't have money.
And they probably have 10 kids.
They're angry. Yeah, and they want to be provided. They want opportunity. Well, if there weren't so fucking many of you, if there weren't so many people in general, but if there weren't so many of just poor people making babies that they can't afford that are living off the government feed bag. And it seems like a disproportionate amount of blacks are that demographic because they've been less fortunate because they haven't statistically gotten better jobs, gone to college, gone to the right schools. They are too busy fucking each other and making babies. God, this is almost starting to sound like a white supremacist. I promise it's not. It sounds awful, but this is not about white supremacy.
It's facts.
If everybody in this country stopped making so many babies, imagine a world where on Earth for the next 500 years we found a way to stop all accidental conceptions. Sure, a lot of people don't plan on having babies and then they have them and they're like, oh my God, I love this kid. It changed my life for the better. Yeah, it happens. It can happen. But also, if you have a kid that you don't want and with someone you don't care about, well, that kid's not going to get cared for, and you're going to fight over who's going to raise it. And then you got child support issues because he doesn't want to work to support a kid he never wanted, and he's mad at her because he wanted her to have an abortion, and she didn't take the birth control because she was too fucking lazy, and he didn't get a vasectomy because he's too much of an asshole to realize I don't want any fucking kids. I just want to, lay pipe all over town.
And then next thing you know, that kid's in school, and he's not allowed to fight.
And he's not allowed to fight, and then he grows up and he makes more fucking people that don't have a goddamn job, that have too much time to sit around and fuck. So, population control should be the main ticket right now.
But the problem is humans are like a disease. We're a bacteria. We just keep multiplying and multiplying and multiplying.
So I would make it so that...
And it's not all coming from here.
Well, no, but America could set a good example with a president like me, because let's say that we had universal health care. Not Obamacare, like universal health care. How do we fund that? Ask me how we fund that.
How do we fund that?
We legalize marijuana and we tax it. Guess what else we legalize?
All drugs.
Pussy.
All drugs.
Prostitution.
All the vices. Who's anybody to tell anybody?
Let's not go crazy with meth and heroin. And this is why you're ruining the argument for legalizing weed.
No, but you can't just pick and choose one that you like.
Well, they've been hammering marijuana for so fucking long, and it goes back to the days of reefer madness. If the collective industry barons of America wouldn't have said that they wanted hemp criminalized and marijuana criminalized, think of where we'd be.
Oh, we'd be in a lot better place.
We might not have the internet, but we probably have less shootings because everybody would be like really fucking chilled out. And oh my God, okay, you're having a bad day? You're fucking there.
Just because one smokes pot doesn't mean we wouldn't have the internet.
Yeah, I don't know.
Look at me, for example. When I was in school, not smoking, I got shit grades. I couldn't sit still. I couldn't concentrate.
You probably just needed Adderall.
Oh, so you're telling me that taking some chemicals is better than taking a natural herb?
Well, the Adderall actually would focus you better and make you more productive, whereas weed's going to limit your ability to go for a jog because,
No.
Unless you're going to eat your weed.
Go for a jog.
Yeah, it limits your lung capacity.
No, it doesn't.
Oh,
that's bullshit.
Does.
I had to take a fit test for a job a couple years ago. They're measuring the volume in your lungs. So I did all that, and the doctor came back. He looks at my chart. He's like, how much do you smoke a day? At the time, it was probably a pack and a half or something. He looks back down at the chart. He's like, I just don't get it. You have above average lung capacity for a non-smoker your age. Obviously, I didn't tell him about weed, but I smoke weed and cigarettes. And I have more powerful lungs than probably you.
Okay, wow,
I've never had an issue.
Involves yelling.
But you're not supposed to use your lungs to yell. You're supposed to use your diaphragm.
So, if you got the legal weed, we tax the legal weed. So you have the universal health care that pays for the male birth control pill to finally be fucking made and put out there in the market because we all want it. If they had it, I'd be popping them like Mentos. I wouldn't need them if I could get a free vasectomy, right? So we're making less people. Less people means, there's not enough jobs. Well, there wouldn't be too few jobs if there weren't so many fucking people. And we wouldn't have so many people that were made accidentally living off of government stipend programs and entitlement programs. How are we going to balance the budget? Fewer fucking people because we're not paying so much money out to all these assholes.
The problem is there's too many ultra-religious people. They're not going to let that happen. They already don't like abortions.
Oh, yeah. Well, see, here's the thing about that. We're doing it all wrong with this democracy. You know what would fix America? Dictatorship. A dictatorship. Somebody who's just like, you know what? Fuck you. This hasn't worked for how long? I mean, it's kind of worked, but it's clearly broken. So we're going to try something drastically new. And all you human cum guzzlers there in Congress and Senate, fuck off. I don't fucking need you to advise me a shit. You can keep your job at 1/2 of the pay with no benefits. Just report back to me.
But you give somebody that power, and that's how Hitler happens. Like, you give somebody too much power. True democracy.
Well, I think Hitler with the wrong ideas, and I sound like I'm on the right track with solving problems rather than just identifying a scapegoat.
Well, but
he's like, the Jews are not responsible for all the problems in the Germany. We must kill all the fucking Jews.
To be fair to Hitler, I don't think he came out with the Jew rhetoric right away. I think he built up to that. But anyway, we need true democracy, and we don't need the Electoral College. That shit was for back in the day when people rode horses to get to places. If we rode horses to get to places, yeah, then the Electoral College makes sense.
We wouldn't have so much pollution because we'd ride horses.
Well, right.
There wouldn't be so many. We wouldn't be so goddamn fossil fuel resistant.
You know, it's the cow farts.
I don't want to rise. Right? Well, we can eat more chicken because I'm pretty sure chickens make less noxious gas. The cows and the sulfur come out of their butts.
Yeah, that's what's killing us supposedly. But we're getting sidetracked. We don't need the Electoral College anymore. That's where shit's getting fucked up.
Well, we don't need the two-party system because those fucking assholes can't even work together.
We can communicate with people across the globe in seconds now. We do not need the Electoral College. We can all cast a vote and it can all be tabulated within hours. Why are we still using this ancient fucking thing where it says, okay, so your state's got this many people, so you get 5 votes. This state has nothing but corn, you get 1 vote. Why are we still using that? When we all have a fucking phone. Everybody almost has a phone, and if not, they know somebody with a phone. There's better ways that we can do an election and actually have proper results.
I'd like to think that everybody could just text in their answer to a poll question on what we should do next in this country, but look at how that worked out with the electronic voting machines in Florida. Whoops.
That's corruption, of course.
So I've started to write the shit forward. The 2 terms that you can't do shit in 2 terms. We've proved that now.
Yes,
Obama even said, he's like, at this point, I haven't gotten enough done that if I could lift the amendment that restricts it to 2 terms, I'd run for a 3rd term. He said that shit, and despite your hate of Obama, you can't get anything accomplished in 4 years, and it's hard to get a lot accomplished in 8 years. So if you have like a dictatorship, as long as nobody's trying to fucking shoot him in the head, you should be all right. A big part of making that work is too many people are worried about what other people are doing in their homes.
Yeah, definitely.
Like the prostitution thing. The reason I think prostitution should be legal is because of all the fucking sex crimes in this country. Imagine if a guy that's so frustrated that no girl's ever touched him flips the fuck out and goes on a raping spree and then shoots 5 people. Well, what if he could just go down to the corner and there's some chick who has to register her sniz with Uncle Sam and get tested regularly? He's going to pay her a fee for a reasonably priced piece of ass, and he's going to get his rocks off, and he's going to know what it feels like to feel physical love. He can go back to his home and fucking cry to a bunch of goddamn Sixpence None the Richer songs about not having been loved by anybody romantically, but he gets to fuck. And then we're boosting the economy. Her vagina is now helping the economy.
But unfortunately, again...
But now he can't buy pussy, so he has to go into his basement and look at pussy on the internet, and maybe the next thing he knows is he's got a niece who's like 8 who comes over and sits on his lap, and she brushes against his dick accidentally through his pants, and he's like, okay, well, I'm fucking her.
Again, the problem is there's too many religious people in this country, though. They're not going to allow that.
That's good. I'm glad you brought that up. Guess what? I would push for the strictest, absolute separation of church and state ever known to man. Because the last time I checked, although it says in God we trust, I'm a fucking atheist.
Me too.
I was raised Catholic.
Me too.
I went to 13 years of Catholic school.
I didn't have to.
All right? And once I got rid of Catholicism, I left the church and was agnostic for a while. And I'm like, okay, this works, but now I don't know what I'm doing. Well, I don't really feel like there's a God. Like, nothing felt like all this bad shit that happens. I'm like, I can't fall into the trap of it's God's plan and it's not your power to know.
The easy cop out.
Reason. And I'm like, wow.
That's an easy cop out.
What am I, a fucking 5-year-old and you're doing party tricks? That's stupid. So you can kiss all your in God we trust bullshit goodbye. Because I don't need your Christian influence in my government. I live in the United States of America, not the United States of the Vatican.
Right.
All right? So I appreciate what the current Pope's doing in being progressive, but all you assholes that get all up in arms because 2 guys want to fuck each other in the ass and wear rings while they're doing it, calm the fuck down. Nobody's coming to your house and trying to fuck you in the butt. If 2 lesbian women are in a committed relationship and they want to be married and as miserable as the rest of us, they get married, which I never made that mistake, thank God. I just thank God I don't believe it. But let them. And if some girl gets raped and she gets pregnant, some asshole like Ted Cruz doesn't want her to be able to go and eliminate that baby she doesn't want. Guess what? That's a living, breathing, 24-hour-a-day reminder of rape. And yeah, she may grow to love the child that grew inside of her. She didn't plan on having that fucking kid. But maybe the guy that raped her wouldn't have raped her if he could have gone down to the corner and bought a piece of ass.
Exactly.
And he could have been all mellowed out when he went to go ask to buy the pussy because he could have smoked a J. He's relaxed. He's got empty balls. He's going home to make a sandwich and take a fucking nap. He's not going out to shoot the place up or to rape anybody. So I fixed that. And they're like, we need money for infrastructure and we need to create jobs. You don't create jobs by we need to make more stores to create jobs. We need to fund construction projects and expand America and our never-ending manifest destiny to turn this entire goddamn country into a Walmart with a never-ending parking lot. That's fucking stupid. There should be fewer people. Because fewer people would need fewer jobs. And maybe there'd be just enough jobs. There was like a negative population increase for this country. Like 10% for the first few years of my plan. All the baby boomers are retiring now. So by the time that the millennials, like you and I, get to retirement age, it will have righted the ship. Yeah. And all that money going into all these government programs for these people that technically shouldn't have been created because nobody tried to make them.
The natural balance of things.
It would work out it would balance the budget eventually, right? Like we wouldn't be paying out so much money, so we would hold on to that money. And some people say, well, not spending isn't the same as saving. Yeah, it is, fuckface, because I still have that money. If I have $5 and I don't go buy a rotisserie chicken, I'm hungry, but I still have $5. So, and if I just roll that $5 every day for a month, I have $150 and less rotisserie chicken packages in my garbage under my sink right now. There are 2 at present. I have a fucking rotisserie chicken problem. Walmart makes them for $5. So
yeah, had one last week. They're actually pretty good.
So I think if we had fewer people, there wouldn't be all this social unrest, right? Because we wouldn't be fighting for limited resources. Because if the grid goes down and China hacks our computers, we go back to the Stone Age, like that stupid NBC show where the power grids went down and suddenly...
Life Without People? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I forget the fucking name.
Or are you actually talking about a show?
It was an actual show. Oh. Where like the power grid went down and people had to survive without electricity. If that happens, everybody's like, well, it's going to devolve into chaos and we're going to be fighting for food and the entire industrial complex will collapse. Well, yeah, because, people got to eat. What if there weren't so many people? So if that happened, we wouldn't have to panic so much. And what if all these other goddamn industrialized nations like China, those fuckers they poison the planet more than anybody as far as I can devise.
Yeah, they're smog. They got daily smog reports.
Well, they're just a constant running machine that's like, more, create, make more shit, make more money. Well, you're just a fucking entire 1 billion person nation of hamsters running on wheels. What the fuck are you going to... If you become the #1 nation in the world, China, what the fuck are you going to do then? What next?
I don't know, I'm not China.
Exactly. What the fuck are they going to do? It's just like us. We strive to be the greatest nation. Maybe we should stop worrying about being #1 and start worrying about being good enough. And stop encouraging all these pussy kids that can't kick a ball or run the bases.
But in order to do that, we also need to stop worrying about all the other countries and their bullshit.
Oh yeah, I don't really care about what the fuck goes on over the Middle East right now. It's awful that people are dying, but it doesn't... If you look at it pragmatically, if you subtract all that bleeding heart left-wing horse shit from the equation, what you've got is nations of people killing other nations of people thousands of miles away from me, and it doesn't do anything to my life here, right?
Well, yes
oil.
And no.
It's all fucking oil.
Yep.
So maybe don't be so dependent upon oil.
Right.
Somebody somewhere along the lines created a car that runs on something that's not a fossil fuel.
And that car
right?
sucked
And that
ass.
person got murdered. Because as soon as they brought the idea to somebody, went, look at this great car I created that uses recycled water or fucking old McDonald's fry grease or nitrogen.
He got murdered?
Probably. There's a better way. If we're not dependent upon Ford oil, then we don't have to go suck everybody's cock and solve their stupid fucking problems over there.
And we have enough oil that we could do it. We actually have more oil underground here than Saudi Arabia.
We wouldn't need all that oil, would we? Because we'd have fewer people with fewer cars.
Right, and well, we wouldn't be worrying about exporting the oil
and
anywhere
then if
else.
we needed to build fucking trains to go everywhere, like light rail shit, guess what? We'd have the money, because why? We wouldn't have an extra 100 million people in this country that are on food stamps and welfare and rent and power and other assistance, and they get fucking free phones. And they can take their EBT card and buy smokes and cable TV. How fucking stupid is that? Every month, $800 of my check, of my own money is gone right out of the gate because I pay for child support and a family-level health care plan. But if I go to the doctor, I still got to pay money to go see him.
Oh, yeah.
I've got this problem. I have to go to the doctor. Well, you can't just go right to the knee doctor. If you got bad knees, you got to get a referral. Doctor, get a fucking referral. So there's $20 right there, which I've done it before. Where I've called the doctor. I'm like, look, I know my knee is fucked, and you guys have the records to prove it. I don't need to come to talk to whatever foreign language speaking doctor you have seen me this week and give him $20 to say, oh, your knee is fucked up. You need to go see a specialist. Thank you.
That's awful racist.
Thank you, motherfucker. No, it's not. I'm doing an impression of somebody.
Why did you give him an Indian voice?
It was supposed to sound African. I had to see one doctor to get to another doctor. But, I mean, if you got the universal health care and you could just go, oh, okay, I've got arthritis of the knees. I can fucking go see an orthopedist. I don't have to go and start the first domino to fall. You don't have to go all the way around the Monopoly board to get to the goddamn knee doctor.
That's a whole other... The healthcare system...
to Fix My Knees Avenue. But the healthcare would be funded by the weed and the pussy and the extra money that was left around because we wouldn't have so many fucking people. And maybe there wouldn't be so much social unrest. And maybe we wouldn't have to sit here and focus on the color of our skin. And maybe we wouldn't have to be worried about an entire religion of people a half a world away because I just told you I don't want to hear about your fucking religion. Keep it to yourself. Do it in your home, do it in your church, but don't force me to give you an extra 45 minutes of break time every day so you can go fucking pray 5 times. Or don't get mad at me because I want to put up a sign that says Merry Christmas and you celebrate Kwanzaa or Hanukkah. Who gives a shit? I'm sorry that you need to have everything included. You really don't. Maybe instead of including everyone, we need to disclude everyone. Because it almost seems like it would be, everyone's like, without God in the church, it would be Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, true, if people couldn't make babies so easily, they'd probably be out fucking a lot more. And they may contract more diseases. I don't know. They'd be fucking a lot. Maybe they'd be happier, but, you know, it just, so many stupid fucking problems that start with that church. And all the religious nuts that they want to restrict rights to Planned Parenthood. Don't even get me started on the videos with the selling dead baby parts. I don't fucking care. Stem cells are the future of science and medicine in this country. You cannot fucking convince me of anything else. Some asshole that says 3D printing of limbs is the next big wave. Well, you got to grow the tissue, and maybe you can find better ways to do it with stem cells.
It wasn't the selling that was pissing people off. It was the lady's extremely cavalier attitude.
Well, if you deal with dead babies all the time, you're not going to care about dead babies. But working in a jail, I hear about people that are addicted to fucking drugs all the time, and I don't bat an eye at that shit. Oh my God, I had the most horrible last 5 years addicted to meth. Join the fucking club, bitch, because I've been listening to this shit for the last 8.5 years. I'm numb to it now. Oh, did you lose your kids? I don't give a shit. They're not my kids. So, let women... I don't encourage chicks to go out and fucking get pregnant and just have a million abortions. All right? When I look for a girlfriend, I don't look for a girl who has a devil-may-care attitude about her vagina and a punch card at Planned Parenthood. All right? You want someone respectable. But most of the country's too busy just trying to get some strange, fucking around on their phone and the internet, so everybody's just fucking and making more people and getting diseases. And then they have to go to the abortion clinic. Then they have to go get penicillin. God, imagine if you didn't have all these right-wing, conservative assholes Bible-thumping all the time. You can focus on conservatism without focusing on God, I would think.
Easily. I consider myself more a conservative than anything, and I'm an atheist.
I won't say that any one religion is right or wrong, because I don't know. I choose to be atheist because I have reasoning that I've come to that I don't think a God exists.
You've taken in the facts. You've taken in the evidence. You've weighed it all. You've done
I was educated in... I had 17 years of fucking education in goddamn Catholicism. And look where that got me. I said, fuck this. And maybe if you were less worried about what I was doing with your judgmental religious bullshit, you know, because who are the people that are telling you you shouldn't do drugs and you shouldn't be having premarital sex and you shouldn't be having abortions? Like, I don't hear a bunch of goddamn Hebrews out there going to temple on Saturday going, we need to find a way to stop all these kids from having the premarital sex. We need to do it. We need to educate them and mitzvah them and stop them from fucking. No, it's the fucking Christians and the Catholics that are doing that shit.
I don't know about that. I think it's just the Christians.
No, the fucking Jews don't have time to worry about people fucking too much because they're too busy running the goddamn entertainment industry.
And counting their money.
It's a stereotype that's true. A lot of people that are Jewish run Hollywood.
Yep.
Own sports teams.
Yep.
Jews are good with money.
Yep.
That's an awesome fucking thing. What are What are Christians known for?
Do we really
being judgmental pricks, believing in an imaginary man in the sky that doesn't want you to have any fun, and probably the Crusades, where we killed a bunch of people that didn't believe because they were heathens. Look at where America came from. An entire nation stolen from its indigenous peoples because people who didn't want to believe in the house religion wanted to come here and start their own religion and be free of religious persecution. And the best way to be free of religious persecution is to come somewhere where you've never been before and force all the people that are already there to believe in your God or they're going to die. That's fucking brilliant. Wow, they have just, right out of the gate, how do you go from, we need to start fresh and have our own church? Nice to meet you, savages.
Put some clothes on, you dirty bastards.
Your dick's hanging out. I can see your wife's tits. I'm going to fuck her even though I find her unattractive. And I'm sorry about smashing your baby's skull on that rock because he wouldn't shut up during my prayer service. But come over for turkey later.
Thanks for the coin.
I mean, this entire nation happened, basically, by force because of the influence of the church.
We came in like ISIS.
That's what America was built upon. The foundation of people who said, thank you for introducing us to all this cool shit. Now, step aside, we're taking it by force. I'm not going to tell you that you can't have guns as your president. I would prefer if we had no guns. If there were no guns, if you could magically just, no guns.
But how are you going to kill stuff?
Okay, knives. You want to eat badly enough, you will chase a goddamn rabbit down and rig a trap.
Somebody will figure out how to shoot a knife.
You get a taconite pellet and a fucking slingshot and kill a squirrel or a bunny or, dig a trench and put leaves over it so the deer falls down on some pikes. And then, use a block and tackle to get that carcass out and harvest the meat. There's other ways. We're killing each other at a ridiculous rate, but we're still, the population's increasing. I don't fucking understand it. Now, we're too busy policing the world. Team America wasn't just entertainment. It was a social commentary by two people that brilliantly skewer our culture, that appreciate their right to free speech, and then use it to point out a lot of bullshit. People hate Michael Moore or they love Michael Moore. No one's just Michael Moore.
Yeah.
He does some good things. He does some shitty things. But Team America took a moment to skewer him because of the way he does it. I just think if we had fewer guns, less God, legal drugs, legal pussy, fewer people, we'd have enough jobs and enough money, and maybe we could use that money to, here's a thought, free college. Isn't it? Who's the candidate that's pumping that? Is it Bernie Sanders?
Yep.
Wants to give everybody free college.
But he don't know how to pay for it.
But he didn't know how to pay for it.
He don't care how to pay for it.
I know how to pay for it.
You do?
Weed and pussy. It's a good thing that we didn't have any ideas on what to talk about.
I gotta go do something real quick first then.
Oh, Jesus.
I gotta pee. This guy made me squat to pee. You made me.
I didn't want you to splash piss all over the toilet seat that my daughters have to sit on when they poop.
It's that was the smallest. It only sits a foot off the ground. That's crazy.
You should see the one in my other bathroom.
Smaller?
It's shorter. The natural position for pooping is squatting down. All right? Not sitting with fucking dinner table posture when you're going for tea with the queen. All right? You don't need to be 3 feet off the ground to drop a deuce. You need to hunker down to shit.
I never thought about it like that.
And then if you
they are the smallest toilets I've ever seen.
If you can get low enough, you can put your chin on your fist like this, like you're taking a glamour shot while you shit. It's so much more relaxing than having to worry about your feet dangling off the side of the...
Well, my feet don't dangle when I shit, but those toilets are just extremely small. So with that, we'll just we're
going to sign off on the What Are We Going to Call It podcast.
I'm Danny P.
And I'm the Jmann, and that's the end.